Welcome to the Street Talk segment, everyone. We have got 2 episodes of Coronation Street to chat about this week. No Friday Coronation Street, but I think it was still a good week. Like, this great run that Corrie's on at the moment is still going on, and looking ahead ever so slightly, spoiler-wise for next week, I think that Monday's episode could be quite an enjoyable spectacle as well. Fingers crossed there. We've got 5 stories to chat about this week, some of them bigger than others. We are going to be starting off with the Leantics roadshow story, and she was still back up to her antics this week, wasn't she? Couldn't believe what she was getting up to this week, Steve McDonald, honestly. Breakdown Mechanic is going to be coming next. Then we have got the Hey Platt payback story, followed by Poison Ken letter. And then a bit of the revenge story, which I think is maybe the title that we gave to the Chesney and his van man, which is still going on. You thought they'd forgotten about it, hadn't you? There's more to that this week.
Haven't.
No.
There's so much entertainment to be wrung from it.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever there's not one on Friday, or if we're recording a little bit late, my mind just kind of goes blank, and I'm like, what happened this week then? I've got a few key moments in my head, but a lot of it's kind of gone a bit blank. I think I'm just getting a bit...
That's how I went when they asked me
old.
questions on the radio.
Yeah, I know. Right, so Leanne this week...
You haven't even updated the website. I said I'd only do it if you updated our About page to say we'd been on Manchester...
Radio Manchester.
BBC, thank you.
BBC Radio Manchester this week, haven't we? Yeah. Right, Leanne, what's she been up to this week? She's got her litter picking. Yes, thank you very much, Coronation Street, for showing Leanne doing her community service.
I couldn't believe this. We complained that we would never see this, didn't we? We were saying,
yeah. It's either a case of we're not going to see it because it's realistic and it's not done in the place where you live, or we will see it.
But would you do that? Is it? I can see. I'm in 2 minds about this. Right. Number one, for your own kind of pride, maybe don't make you pick litter next to by your neighbours with a big, because it does say on the back like community payback. It's not like subtle.
No, you
can't pretend that you just saw a bit of rubbish and you were picking it up out of the goodness of your heart. But also, like, for transport purposes, I quite like to not have to go very far.
And is it, is part of the idea of what she was doing to get a bit of shame, and you probably will get that picking up litter in your local area.
Is it like being in the stocks and having tomatoes thrown at your face?
Well, yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it?
Except you have to pick them up.
Pick them up again afterwards.
But can I just give props to Leanne for wearing the most inappropriate clothing for this litter picking?
What else did she wear?
She wore a shirt and she wore a beautiful coat that looked like a blazer. She looked like she was doing business casual for her litter picking.
That's all she's got. I quite enjoyed, I don't know what the name of the person is, the lady who was giving her bit, just sitting in the cafe, because she was a little bit sarky, wasn't she? I can't remember what it was. She made some kind of remark about, I don't remember what it was, and Leanne was like, "Oh, really?" She's like, "No, you wazzock."
Yeah, so she said, "Oh, do you want me to pretend that I'm your..."
Oh, yeah, do you want me to pretend that I'm your pretend I'm your friends? Yeah, that was quite funny. But anyway, she's doing a community service around there. She's very embarrassed because she's just like a magnet for Nick, Toyah and Sam. Wherever Leanne is, they happen to be having a meal there. I would just say stay away from anywhere that serves food if you don't want to come into contact with your old family.
In the cafe?
Who knows? Very good question. Why was she given her reflective orange jacket in the local cafe?
You think there would be it would be the community centre?
Yeah, maybe.
Because like this conversation could have happened with Leanne coming out of the community centre with the lady and her saying, "Get on with it," and then she bumps into.
Yeah, and did Leanne have to buy her own tea at the cafe, or did it get?
Did she buy the lady tea as a bribe? And the lady was like, "I legally cannot accept this."
Yeah,
according to the council.
Well, who knows? Well, Craig does all his policing nearby the place where he lives, where he obviously shouldn't. So why not this?
By the cafe.
Yeah, just need to pop in and check that everything's going fine in Roy's. Yeah,
I just got to check.
We'll have a cream horn when I'm here. Actually,
check the temperature of the pasties.
Still hot.
See if they're legal.
So she's out with her litter pitting stick later, and there's some leery littering teens there, and she has a good old mard at home, doesn't she? She's like, "Oh, you picked that up," and they find it hilarious. Obviously, to have this quite well turned out woman pointing at them with her picky up stick. And
her fluorescent jacket.
Yeah, but luckily, because she is a magnet to him, Nick pops round the corner just at the moment, and he's like, "Look, you all right?" And she snaps back, "Of course I'm fine, leave me bloody alone." He just wants to talk to her about Sam, because when she was in the cafe earlier and she tried to talk to Sam, and he's just like, I don't blame him, really.
He's a bit standoffish with her.
Well, it was last week, wasn't it, where... They were in the bistro and she's like, "Oh, you're not blood, you're not related to me."
I thought it was this week.
Well, maybe. Oh, you're right. That was Monday. See, I told you.
She's just acting up. She's just acting up. Yeah, and he's not impressed.
He's seen her getting sloshed a little bit too much. He's seen her going on a revenge spree with Tracy, so he's kind of distancing himself from her a little bit. And Nick wants to talk to her about him, and he's saying, look, he's just kind of struggling to adjust to the new normal of Toya being in their life. So maybe have a word later. So after work, she's done her duty, her civic duty. Leanne turns up at the bistro, demanding champagne. She's like, still not learned anything from last week. I'm going to say that I'm quite glad, because I was not expecting this side of her to carry on throughout this week.
As well. She's
you do it. You go for it, Leanne.
And not that she's got loads of money now. She's sold the business.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, why not? She's probably not even paying. I suppose she does have to pay for it now, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Considering, she's sold up. But Debbie's there as well, having a glass of wine, and says, "Look,
Yorkshire pudding.
Make it." Oh yeah, you said it was a Yorkshire pudding.
It looked like a Yorkshire pudding. It definitely
bread,
wasn't. But
bread.
It would have been hilarious if her business lunch was even. I would tell you what. I would go to a restaurant who had like Yorkshire puddings as a tapas, like.
Yeah.
A series of tiny little mini Yorkshire puddings, the size of a small cake tin. You know, like.
Yeah.
Well, how big? Like the size of the palm of your hand. And then each one's got like different fillings.
That would be a great idea.
Can you imagine
like
that? You have
sliders.
Yes, and you have like a gravy
Yorkshire pudding
with different meats, obviously. Maybe you'd have like a chicken and mushroom, and maybe like a chili con carne, or like, and then you'd have the sweet ones with like.
This is our business idea. This is how we get move up north.
Yes,
I don't think they go for it around here. I don't know. But,
yes, look, don't be snobby about Southerners. We like gravy and Yorkshire puddings as much as anyone else. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm just trying to find a way to.
You're just trying to get me to move.
Emigrate, yeah.
Emigrate
to the frozen north. But anyway, Debbie's there, kind of, and Leanne wastes no opportunity to have a bit of a needle at her about Ronnie and how he was well up for it last week. And Toya tries to get rid of her, but Leanne says, "Look, nobody can tell me where I can and can't go." And she's like, "I'm just getting started, Toya." Yes, Leanne, you go. So she's totally sloshed again later. Toya refuses to serve her, and Leanne says, "Oh, you always spoil my fun," kind of bringing up when I was little. What she said you broke my doll or dropped my teapot on the floor or something. I can't remember. She
can't get over it.
She has been holding a grudge for 35, 40 years, whatever it is that Toya's done when she was little.
She let the Care Bear go in the end because she found out that Toya bought it for her.
Oh yeah, there wasn't there? Yeah. Anyway, she's like, "Oh, I don't know what Nick sees in you," and right on cue, Nick and Sam come in. Tracy's joined her later, just having a laugh away. Again, brilliant duo. Tracy and Leanne.
Yeah.
Such fun. I don't know what Toya's going to say when she finds... Sorry, I don't know what Tracy's going to say when she finds out what Leanne and Steve have been up to this week. But for the meantime, they are still busy mates. Point. And Leanne is so... three sheets to the wind that when Sam's kind of sitting there on the side looking somewhat disapproving at her, Leanne turns around and kind of makes a comment, and I can't remember what she said, but it's a bog off Sam or something. Yeah, she talks to Tracy and says, "Look, I don't care what he thinks of me. It's not like he's my real son or anything." Of course, Sam has come closer in the meantime. He's heard it all. He looks upset, as you would, and Leanne... And rather than backing down or going, "Oh my gosh, Sam, I'm so sorry, look, I've had too much to drink," she just doubles down on it, doesn't she? It's like, well, it's true. We're not exactly blood, are we? That was harsh.
That was
well harsh, Leanne.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, because Leanne does care a heck of a lot for Sam, doesn't she? Is this kind of defence mechanism?
Absolutely tragic, wasn't it?
It was proper tragic.
Little face.
But it's partly maybe because Sam's quite grown up for his age, and she's kind of treating him as if she would, an adult that would be kind of turning their nose up at her. I don't know.
sad.
That was well harsh, but I still loved it.
It was hilarious.
It was
because of how horrible it was.
Oh, I wish that everybody who hated Leanne on the internet because of this could just take a step back and enjoy the chaos.
It's not real.
It's just that. If this was real, it would be horrifying.
I would be so sad for this poor boy.
Yeah.
And also for Leanne for like messing. You know, this. He's never going to forget this ever, 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 ever. You know, when you're a kid. I'm sure you've got
things
this.
like
A few things in your mind. Have you got like a few moments in your mind when somebody said something to you and it's just kind of moulded you as who you are?
I do. What, for the bad or for the good?
Either.
I've got a very vivid memory of my favourite teacher in primary school when I said, I think I'd like to be a teacher when I'm older. Do you think I'd be a good teacher? And she said, no, I don't think you would actually. And I don't think she was being horrible because she was great. She was my favourite primary school teacher, Mrs. Hirons, and she's like, I don't think it's for you, and I don't know why.
What a cow!
No, she wasn't. She just.
But why would you say that to a child?
Well, just trying to steer me on a different path, I suppose. Maybe she saw my potential
really
as Coronation Street professional podcaster, and she didn't want to steer me away from that. I don't know. Okay, maybe she thought I'd just be able to work at Coronation Street. I don't know. But
that's horrible.
That's stuck in my mind. But I don't feel bad about it in the slightest.
Well, that hasn't moulded you, has it?
No, but it's stuck in my mind.
Okay.
And you're right. Leanne saying this to Sam should be something that sticks with him. And she can apologise all she wants. And I think he is a bit of a forgiving soul.
I think he
probably wants to know why she said that to him.
He's practical and he understands, but he's probably said, I know that we're not blood, but I don't know why you had to say it.
But, I mean, I'm sure she said the same to Simon at least one point in his life.
Well, this is the tragic part about it, because Simon was, she fought so hard for him, and this came up with Simon as well.
Well, especially, it must have done like around the time when Ollie was getting sick. And
I think it's just to demonstrate like how self-destructive she's being. Totally.
And
it worked very well because that is a very silly thing to say.
She does back down a little bit later, to be fair to her. And she's like Sam, I promise I love you. And he's like, I thought you were a better person than this, Leanne. I love that Sam's just like has to, he's the one looking down on her and kind of rising above it. Leanne says, like,
looking down as he rises above.
yeah. Leanne's like, I'm really sorry. But he just walks off. 1 point to Sam. So Toya and Nick and Sam get home later, and Toya's she wants to play Fortnite with them first, isn't she? She's been a cool mum.
Oh yeah, she is so cool.
Yeah. It's Fortnite, Sam. No, watch a film then. Yeah, they're gonna watch a film together. But then Leanne comes to the door wanting a word with him, and Nick's like, no, you can't talk with Sam at the moment. Sorry. And she sees that Sam and Toya are cozying up on the sofa, and she's realising that if it wasn't clear enough already, Toya has very much stolen her life. I do feel bad for her at the moment. I do. That what she's seeing there, she's going to be exhausted after all that litter picking during the day. She's just feeling woozy. She's upset that her life has turned to this, and she just goes in and sees, Toya is cuckooed into her house, and they don't need her anymore. Yeah. And and she can't seem to.
Well,
divert herself in this path of destruction that she seems hell-bent on going down.
Imagine how you would feel if, you lost your home and your partner and your business.
Yeah.
Everything's gone.
Everything's gone. She's got nothing left for her at the moment. And
it's devastating, really.
Yeah, exactly. Les is dead. Janice is, she ain't coming back, is she? So she is literally there on her own. Who else can she turn to but the lovely Steve McDonald? And that's what Wednesday's episode.
I said this last week, didn't I? I think we did say that she didn't end up with Steve.
Yeah, well, there were hints towards it at Christmas time, wasn't there, where she ended up going back to number one, just to say hello to him. I'm sure that's all that happened then. But Steve sees Leanne's looking down in the cafe on Wednesday, and he goes to try and chivvy her up and says, look, come round my house later this evening. Ken's going to be out with Cassie. It's just going to be the two of us. We'll just have a nice time. Can I give props to Simon Gregson this week for delivering one of his best, most reined in performances that he has done for a very long time. Steve was great on Wednesday, and I will always give credit where credit's due. And, you know, Steve's not gone so far down the path of no return as, you know, in my mind, I'm very, very sorry, Mary may have done. But quite often when Steve comes on the screen, I'm like, you don't have to use that baby voice, do you? But he was really great on Wednesday, wasn't he? He was understanding. He wasn't gurning. It was lovely. And there were times during this episode where I was thinking, you know what? I wouldn't mind them giving a punt with this relationship. Would you be up for a long term, whatever that means in Coronation Street, partnership for those two?
I don't know what the hell they do, but I wouldn't be adverse to finding out.
My only worry, if Leanne and Steve got together, is that she would morph into Michelle 2.0.
She would do, very quickly.
And that's really what was at the beginning of the end for Steve, as kind of the cool, streetwise,
she's not supportive,
clever, funny character, is that he was badgered and nagged into this man baby that we sometimes see. And I just think that once Leanne settled, especially if it... I don't know what it'd mean for Tracy. I'd like to think that she wouldn't lord it over Tracy, but... And Steve, he is a naggable, feckless kind of man, isn't he?
Naggable offence.
Corey has got a strong history with feckless men, but I don't know. But I think I would risk giving it a shot after today.
I don't know what they would do, though, because they need a business.
What do you mean?
They're both entrepreneurs, aren't they? Without anything to do. I know that Steve is a taxi guy, but when do you ever go in there?
Well, Amy seemingly forgot that on Wednesday when she was stuck out at the club.
No, she phoned him.
She phoned him, but she didn't phone streetcars.
No. Also, well, how about Leanne investing in streetcars?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, what about Leanne being on the Switch? That would be hilarious.
I would like to see
blonde on the Switch, don't you?
I don't think I could see Leanne on the Switch long term, but I think as occasionally they'll put characters in a role just for a few episodes and it to go completely and utterly
wrong. Didn't they put Mary behind the bar?
Well, she popped up last week, didn't she, for a little bit? And Eileen has done a couple of shifts behind the bar, and she's just like, I can't be happy and smiley and cordial for this amount of time. It's not for me. And I think Leanne would get so ratty. That could be quite fun. But as long as they took the opportunity to have Eileen come in and mentor her or coach her or something like that in a very
how about
patronising way.
How about Leanne and Eileen, and Eileen's trying to teach Leanne how to use the Switch, and they Leanne gets really mardy with somebody, and then Eileen's like, let me show you what you should do, and then she takes the thing off her, and she's like, go bog off and flush your head down the toilet.
There is comedy potential in there.
That could be quite funny if they have to one up each other on. Yeah, imagine if they both got drunk and they were trying to one up each other on how rude they could be.
That sounds a lot of fun. So yeah, Leanne on the Switch. I mean, she's already been a cool girl, hasn't she? So surely this is
make this calls, is just take calls. What's the difference?
Whatever. Okay, so maybe. Anyway, look, Amy. Wednesday, like I said, she's gone out to a club. I can't remember. Was it a party or something that she was going to?
Somebody's 21st birthday.
Is that
party,
what it was?
Because Steve wants her to take some sausages from the buffet, sausage rolls, but she said it's not that sort of party.
No, only jelly and ice cream at this one.
No.
Anyway,
can't take that in a bag,
who would be there at the club other than Mr. I've forgotten his first name, Sanford. Aaron's dad was there. I thought he was out of the picture. That was quite a surprise comeback. And I don't know whether...
I was so confused.
Well, what were you confused about?
Well, I told you at the time. So Amy comes up to this nightclub and the dad is standing outside and he's wearing a jacket. And under the jacket is a picture of Aaron's face on a T-shirt. And I got really confused because the last time we left it, Aaron was in complete denial and I can't remember what his family were like about it or whether they supported him or not. But
I think it was like, we're going to whisk you away, but I think that they maybe knew.
Okay, but I kind of... So when I saw him there, I was like, oh, he's in some kind of man's club of protect men from false accusations from women.
Yeah.
And so he's standing there and he's kind of like, what's the word where you fight for somebody, like campaigning.
Yeah.
So it's like a campaign with Aaron's face as the figurehead of like, don't let women say that you attacked them when you didn't. And he was to warn, and he goes to clubs to like warn young men that women are very naughty and they say all kinds of terrible things and you haven't done them. So when he turned out to be sympathetic and it was a stag party, I was like, yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it? That makes a lot more sense. And he's in some kind of vigilante group for incel men.
I quite appreciated that they reused the same location for the club as they'd been to before. I mean, even though in my head I couldn't divorce it from this is just the road behind the cafe. Was it? This was Random Road, the one that's literally just down where the police station is, but they tarted it up to look like a club. Back in the day, they would have gone to an actual club for this. But it was nice that this was at least an established club.
We've spoken a lot about what was a very small scene, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, Aaron's on his stag do. Sadly, we didn't see Aaron because obviously the last time that we saw him, he'd taken the black and gone up to the wall in what's the program called? The
Dragon.
Yeah,
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. Yeah. And
was that the end of season 2 or was it the end of season 1?
No, it was the first episode of series 2 that he was in that very small scene going up to the wall.
They're trying to do about 1 million different spin-offs of Game of Thrones, and they've only
done that one.
But they've also done this egg and
Duncan egg.
Duncan and your egg.
Is that
Eggy Soldiers?
Is that actually happening?
Yeah, it's finished. They've done it.
They filmed it.
Apparently, it's good.
Has it been on?
No.
Oh, okay. It's just ready. Okay.
Anyway, George Martin watched it and he said he thought it was good.
Oh, that's all right then. Yeah. So
he would say that.
This kind of gave me vibes of the Corey story last year, though, where everybody's talking about him being on TV and in the face of the papers and everything, but they couldn't get Max Evans to come back and film a scene. And I think probably I'm going to say that this scene would have been an awful lot better had Aaron been in it.
They probably wanted him to come in it.
I'm sure that would have.
Now.
I'm sure that would have been on the table to get him back into
when you give handsome young men like a 2-year contract or something, or a year contract. You let them go and they just won't come back.
Yeah. So we learn that he's getting married next month. He's got a baby on the way. So things have moved on pretty quickly in the 2 years. Not even 2 years, I think, since he was on the cobbles.
Well, listen, the dad is like very sympathetic to Amy, and he's like, I'm really, sorry this has happened. And he does seem to have believed the story. Yeah. But he's saying to her, like, he's put it behind him now. Please don't ruin this for him, I think. And he's trying to move on, like in a positive way after this terrible thing that happened. He was being really nice to Amy, and he's like, "Can I help you? Do you need anything?" And she's like crying.
He wasn't saying "Get away if you ruin my son's life."
No, that was interesting.
He's got a label because of you. Yeah, I like that scene. And she gets very flustered and kind of stumbles over herself as she goes. This is where she drops her keys.
And he's like, "Oh, can I help?" She's like, "No,
leave me alone." I was kind of waiting when that scene, because it happened quite early on in the episode. I was thinking, oh, good, this is going to be an Amy episode. There's so little of Amy we get to see. And, going out on the town, I thought this could be quite good.
Well, last time she went on the town, it was a disaster.
Yeah, I know. But this was the last we saw of her in the episode, apart from the few texts that came through.
Do you think the reason they put the picture of the guys, of Aaron's face on Mr. Sanford is so that we'd know who the hell he was? Because I don't think I would have remembered who that is.
I think that's exactly why we did it. All his mates are there, and he was just there and coming in a taxi.
Because it's not like Amy had a friend and she could have said, "Oh, this is Aaron's dad" to her friend or anything, and she wouldn't say, "Oh, you're Aaron's dad" to somebody, would she?
Hello, Aaron's dad. No. So I enjoyed that scene. I did.
Yeah.
And that we need to know all of this because this ties into what's going on at number 1, where Steve and Tracy are downing a bottle of wine together. So what? Steve and Leanne, downing a bottle of wine together, getting quite close. And Leanne just is like, I'm really thankful that you're helping me out here. She holds his hand.
She's so flirty, isn't she?
Yes.
She's like, unleashed Leanne is just, you can see why she earned the big money.
I don't think this was a sexy handhold. I think it was more of a... I think it was more of an I appreciate you and thank you, because they've got history, haven't they?
She's with all the men. She's just really super flirty when she gets drunk.
Yeah.
And she's no different here.
Yeah. She says, "Look, I couldn't have got through this past few weeks without you," and he says, "No, Leanne, you're the strong one. That's why you're here." over on the sideboard, Steve's phone is vibrating. He obviously doesn't notice this because he's got far much more to keep his attention on at the moment, and it's Amy trying to ring him, and then gets a text saying, "Dad, can you call me ASAP?"
You know, when you're a parent, you're on call for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
24/7.
I very much enjoyed Wednesday's episode, but it just didn't quite sit right. You know, I didn't really even notice at the time. It was just more kind of reflection afterwards that, you know, the fact that Steve didn't take his phone to the pub with him, the fact that Amy didn't phone a taxi.
Some people, I don't
understand people that aren't surgically attached to their phones.
I cannot leave the room without my phone in my hand. I just can't do it because I won't get the steps.
Yeah, and Steve isn't hugely older than us.
No,
I
do. No, but we've got friends who are like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see your message. My phone was in the other room," and you're like, "Why?"
I think that they're just saying that, to be honest.
Why can't you? It's called a portable phone. Anyway, so I wasn't bothered about the fact that Steve didn't have his phone on him and didn't look at his phone.
See, go on.
I did find it odd that she didn't have any other thoughts. But she's panicking, isn't she? She's panicking.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like many people on Coronation Street have got smartwatches, at least compared to their prevalence in the real world.
No, that's true.
You see them, a fair bit. Whether it's you swanky pantsers who's got their Apple Watches, like me, or whether it's a Fitbit.
So
lots of people these days do have a device strapped to their wrists that tell them if there's a text message coming in, and I just don't feel like many people on Corrie have got that.
Does a Fitbit get messages?
I think you can get ones that do. Yeah, there's various versions of it, but
I can't stand watches.
Anyway, look, we don't want to nitpick this too much. At the end of the day, Steve is missing messages from Amy, and because he's getting a bit closer with Leanne. They're on the sofa later. She's on a bit of a downer and saying, "Oh, look, I just really miss Sam. I love being his mum." And Steve says that Sam's not going to forget the special bond you had. Don't worry about it. Nick's going to be really grateful for everything that you've done for him too. And actually, I'm really grateful that Ollie had you by his side as well. This was the scene that I really, really loved, and it was a sensible, mature Steve having a lovely, friendly conversation with Leanne.
A heart-to-heart conversation.
It was a proper heart-to-heart. It was super. I really, really appreciated that.
Because he says to her, I couldn't imagine a better person to have a child with.
Yeah, exactly.
And she leans right in. She gives him a peck on the cheek.
Yeah, and then it turns into a kiss on their lips, and they get a bit snoggy, and they just got to scurry upstairs.
Of course you do.
Just like a pair of excited teenagers.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Meanwhile, there's another text from Amy that's come through saying, "Lost car keys, phone dying, help." I mean, yeah.
The fact that she's lost her car keys.
She probably worries that she's got to hang around and look for the car keys, because if she phones for a taxi,
she's going to leave her car there.
She's going to leave her car there, and her car keys could be picked up by anyone. And I guess, if you just got on it, you just keep blibbing the lock until a car opens, and there you have it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are kind of like, "Oh, she's silly, she should have just come home." But she is very young. I don't know what I would do. I would not panic as much as she is panicking, but I do. That's because I'm a bit older. I think she's totally reasonable that she wanted her dad to help her. Don't know why she couldn't phone her mum. Maybe we all know why she couldn't phone her mum. Also, don't know why she went to a 21st birthday party in her car in Manchester. You think you'd go on the tram so you could get trolleyed?
This is true. This is very true.
But she's obviously being sensible. But yeah, she doesn't know what to do. What do you do? What would you do? I suppose she can't be in the air or anything, because I'd phone them probably.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I just can't imagine a situation where I couldn't just phone you or text you and you would pick up.
Got a partner.
No, I know.
Her dad
I think maybe she only realised that the phone was out of battery when it was literally 1%. But then why would she tell Steve to ring her? Because it's more. Look, let's not dwell on it. The drama
How would she? Maybe she's like, right, I'll have to leave my phone and hope that he can track me. Maybe he's got a tracker on her or something, and he would find out where. You'd go to the car, wouldn't you? You'd go to your car and wait by the car.
Yeah, I hope. I don't know what we're gonna.
She's probably dead now.
That's making me wonder. Like, what are we gonna have happen? Because I was expecting her to come home, later in the episode and find Steve and Leanne together, or just like really let rip on him for, you know, you ignored me just so you could get your latest floozy in bed. I know Leanne and Amy did have a bit of a bond through the Institute last year. I can't remember where we left things. Leanne gave Amy a bit of money the other week, didn't she? Some of the les money. So they're
use that, couldn't she? She bribed somebody to get home.
So they're not enemies or anything. But yeah, I don't know. Surely she would have got back home on Wednesday night. We're not going to start Monday's episode with her.
Unless something sinister's happened.
Well, yeah, so unless something sinister's happened, which is possible. She's not going to be staying there stranded in the middle of Manchester on Monday morning.
What would you do if you didn't have if your phone was dead and you didn't know where your car keys were, and you're in Manchester, you know, and it's a Wednesday night, so it's proper heaving.
And if I live in Manchester,
yeah,
I'd probably just try and walk.
But wouldn't you be worried that someone would nick your car?
Maybe.
I think I'd go to a bar and just say, "Look, can you help me?" I'd tell them what happened and say, "Look, at the very least, could you help me charge my phone?" If
Amy was going to this bar to have for a birthday party, can't she go back there and ask her friends? Look,
we don't know what she did.
There are potential plot holes here.
At the end of the day,
let's not dwell.
It's not plot holes. It's just solutions that we don't know the answer to. The main thing is that he wasn't there for her when he should have been. You know, that's what he's going to think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as big of a deal as, you know, as we're making out. It's just she needed his help. She's probably going to be on Monday. She's probably going to be like, "Oh, Dad, where were," like Mardy, like good old Mardy, Amy channeling her grandma and her mum and her great grandma, having a go.
Anyway, so Leanne and Steve, they've been up doing the business in the bedroom, and we actually do now get a time scale for how long it took, because when Amy's last message came in, that was just coming in as they were going upstairs, because it said now when they come downstairs we see that Steve doesn't see that there's this other message there that says it was
35 minutes ago.
So it says that the first message was 35 minutes ago. So yeah, 35 minutes with Steve McDonald or with Leanne. I mean, how much does she charge for that?
We don't know.
So anyway,
here's my question. What the hell would you do if you're Steve and you come home? Surely he picks his phone up before he goes to bed.
I don't know.
What would you imagine the cold terror that would grip your heart if you looked and your daughter had been saying to you, and you know she's gone to town?
Yeah, that is really, really true.
You're like, good God, I've let her down. Where is she? What do I do? You'd be in a panic. Where did she say she was going? I can't remember.
Even the fact,
am I going to drive to town? But I'm drunk. What am I going? Who can help me now?
Even the fact that
call the police.
Most people use their phone as their alarm clock these days.
Yeah.
Steve is going to be looking at that phone.
You'd think he would.
Yeah.
But whatever happens, unless Amy gets home before he checks his phone, he's going to have a moment of pure terror. Well, many moments of pure terror.
I hope he would.
What? It's not his fault.
Oh, no. He just needs to, you know...
Take his phone off silent if he's not going to have it in his pocket.
The thing is, Amy is an adult.
I know, but she wants her dad.
I know.
Both of us would want our parents at that age.
Yeah. It reminds me of that time my sister was lost in France.
I know, it reminds me of that as well.
I can't remember how old she was at that time, but she was in her 20s, wasn't she? And she was I don't remember the story. She'd had a little bit too much to drink.
In Lyon?
Yeah, I think it was. And then she phoned my dad, in England obviously, to say I'm lost, or I don't know.
And he was on the phone with her, like trying to help her find her way in this city, and he didn't know where she was or where she was going. And at one point she ended up sitting on a bench by the river, I think. I remember your parents. Both of them couldn't beside themselves, like, what do we do?
I'm sure many a parent has had a similar conversation with their children.
I don't think I've caused any trouble.
No, I don't think you have. I don't think I have that much. It was very good.
The scariest moment my parents ever had was when they thought I joined a cult because I went to a Christian youth group, and my dad thought I was being snatched by the church. Imagine if that's the worst thing your kid ever does is like go to church and it concerns you. Yeah, I think you're blessed.
You're getting off all right there, aren't you? Really. Anyway, so the evening continues in a quite enjoyable fashion between Steve and Leanne. because Steve's like, oh, well, you're just going to go now and leave me, and then it's going to be a bit embarrassing every time we see each other. And he manages to finagle them going to the Rovers together as a bit of a reverse date. And he's like, oh, I hope you're going to use all your best chat-up lines on me. It's just really, really nice and sweet and very cordial. So they go off down the pub and they're down in shots there, and she's had a lovely time, and she says, oh, everyone's left me, I've been snatched up by a cult, my life's just a mess at the moment.
Like me.
And Steve says, well, you know what, Leanne, today could be a proper turning point for you. One day you're going to see Toya and Nick together and you're not going to feel anything, you're not going to care. Leanne's not so sure about this one, but Steve says that eventually you are just going to have to let this go. And Leanne's like, but am I? So she still hasn't got it out of her system. There is more vengeance to come from Leanne here. But it's nice that Steve's there being her advisor, or attempting to be.
I liked the bit where they came down and they were like, oh, this is awkward, and then Steve's like, let's just skip the awkward part and just be mates again.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really nice.
It was really sensible.
It was a sensible adult thing to do, which I would never expect Steve to do. I mean, is he going to be going around to see Tim tomorrow or Kevin and say, you would never guess what? Never guessed last night what happened to me.
I love that Leanne is pledging vengeance because Toya stole her life.
What do you think Tracy's reaction will be, though? Because she's surely going to find out.
I think she's going to be like, who the hell do you think you are? And then I think Leanne might be able to sort of argue her case convincingly that, well, you don't want him anymore, do you? And then Tracy would be like, yeah, but it doesn't mean you can have him. And then Leanne would be like, oh, he's a grown man, get over it. It was one time. I'm not going to repeat it. And then Tracy would be like, fine, just don't do it again.
Yeah, it feels like a fallout
of like an episode.
Yeah, because Tracy is still seeing Tommy, isn't she?
Yeah,
but she's. I think there is a tiny glimmer of flame still burning for Steve there in her heart, in her brain, in her loins.
Be happy that he's not sniffing after Cassie anymore, because Cassie's definitely persona non grata for Tracy.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, Tracy sees. I know she's been friendly with Leanne recently, but she's definitely seen her as a bit of a slapper in the past as well, hasn't she? I
don't think Tracy is a girl's girl.
No, she's not, is she? She's
but I don't think Leanne is either.
I was just wondering. I forgot what I was wondering. What was I going to say?
So many things you don't know. What could it be?
What was I going to say? Oh, any chance that Leanne could be up the duff here, and we could be having another Who's the Daddy storyline running alongside Tracy's, because obviously Daisy, because we had Ryan last week with Leanne,
we've got Dee Dee is pregnant.
Yeah, we knew the dad there is though.
I know, and we've got Daisy is pregnant. Who else? Is anyone else pregnant?
No, I don't think so. Fizz would have been still.
I don't know whether. We went for a while without having any babies, didn't we? And we didn't really see Lauren pregnant for very long because she was off screen for most of the time. So it would be kind of fun if they had a lot of women pregnant at once. I don't know if people would hate it or not, if I get fed up with it, but it would be an interesting. It would be because a lot of women bond with other women that they are pregnant with at the same time.
It would be a nice way of getting some friendly scenes. I mean, we had it with Sally and Gail when they were both pregnant at the same time.
But you could have a bunch
feel
of
like it fits in modern Korean.
So Leanne, Dee Dee, and Daisy would never be friends or talk to each other.
No, they just might find themselves at the same antenatal group.
It would be fun if they all bonded and they kind of talked to each other about how different it is for them. I'm a mother, but this is my circumstances, and so I'm different from you. But then all of them would be single mums, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Right, so that was a fun story. Still very much enjoyed that. The Abby story, I'm a little less loving, just a bit.
Yes. So, you're not loving it as much as you used to.
No, it's just the fact that I really, really love Abby, and I don't like seeing her sad all the time. And Sally Carmen Datine is excellent at doing the tears, but it just gets a bit emotionally draining. And I'm like, okay, you've seen your dead son, and now you're seeing your dead son again, and oh look, there's dead Mason, and there's your dead son again, and it's a bit.
She's heading for a major breakdown.
I think she's there. This
is a psychosis that she's in, and but the thing I liked about this story was I feel bad for Kevin because he's going through it's like it's not even his story. He's like a peripheral part of Abby's story, but
At the
he's
moment,
going through
it's
one of the
not.
most major things anyone can. But I did really enjoy seeing him speaking with his friends about it, because I think that there's not very many examples of male friendship on TV in general. I think Corrie does it better than a lot of other places, because we know we've had like Steve and Lloyd and Steve and Tim, and I think they do better male friendships better than they do female friendships.
They just don't do friendships very
They
well.
don't.
It's such a small
But they're
pool
trying
to draw from.
But with this, they're doing a good job of it.
I think they are, yeah.
But I don't know really what's the link between Kevin and Dev, because Dev comes over.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Why are they friends?
Their names are similar.
They've both
Kevin,
got
Dev.
Yeah, maybe there's Trev and he's not there. He hasn't turned up.
He's the dinosaur, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right, go on then. What?
He's like, oh boy, don't get that.
Yeah.
I haven't got any.
Right, go on then. What's
Right.
been going on with old Abby and Kev this week? Let's run down the synopsis.
Dev's being told about Kevin's worries.
Potential, yeah.
And he's like, oh, testicular's a good one to get, isn't it? And he's like, well, I don't think you want any of them, really. And he says, the scan's tomorrow. And while Kevin's in the kitchen, Dev asks Abby if she's all right, because she's going through a lot. And she just gives a nod. But it's funny because do you think she might be going through a worse time than Kevin? I don't know. She's so isolated.
It's pretty traumatic
because
what she's going through.
She's not saying anything to anybody. She's not got anyone to talk to except for a dead boy.
I mean,
Or two.
maybe they're just not showing it, and every time Kevin looks in a mirror, standing behind him is a giant pair of testicles of cancerous
it's haunting him.
testicles. And we can't show that before 9 o'clock on ITV, can you? So you just don't know.
I don't know that you could.
No.
I mean,
no.
We could have a pair of particularly hairy Kiwis.
We've been for the last I don't know how many months rewatching South Park, haven't we? We've been going through that again, and the next episode that's on our list is that one with Randy and
in the wheelbarrow.
Yes, Randy in the wheelbarrow, that episode. So, and he's even got the Kev moustache, so
it's very similar. We can see what it would be like.
We're going to draw parallels when we watch that later, I'm sure. Anyway, carry on.
Kevin's being very open about this and talking to everybody about it, which is very interesting. So yeah, Kevin. It's Abby. She goes upstairs. She has a bit of a panic attack, and she's obviously not coping. Dev thinks that she is, and everyone thinks she is, but she's just barely keeping it together.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's hiding it very well either. It's just no one's picking up on it because they're all so preoccupied. So she talks to Nina in the corner shop, and poor Nina has been comforting her and Betsy about the fact that Mason died, and she's bringing up all the trauma that she had when Seb died. So they chat, and Nina's like, let's go for a coffee. So they have a coffee together, and they're talking about Mason, but they're also talking about Seb. And Nina is being she's talking like a textbook way you would talk to a mum who is the mother of your boyfriend who died. She's being really positive about her memories of Seb, and she's kind of trying to cheer Abby along and saying, you can do it, sometimes I think of him when things happen, but we'll all get through it, we can survive anything, we'll be okay.
Well, Abby's asking her,
but she's not.
Oh, go on.
Go on.
Abby's asking her, do you sometimes see him? Because she's obviously seeing him, and it's feeling quite like a physical presence here. It's not just like I'm dreaming about him. And she says, are you seeing him as well?
And Nina's like, yeah, I see him all the time in my dreams. And she's like, oh.
Or if I hear a certain song
comes
on, I still think about him. Yeah.
And Nina's obviously now, she's had a certain amount of closure, and when she's talking about Seb, she's not thinking about dead Seb, she's thinking about live Seb, and Abby is not. Abby's thinking literally being haunted by his corpse.
Well, or his near dead, even though...
Well, he's covered in, I think the makeup was pretty heavy. I think it looked wrong in a few scenes where, when he was out in daylight, and he was completely all, covered in like smudge and soot. I don't know what that was supposed to be. It didn't work.
Well, maybe her memories of Seb. The thing is, she didn't see Seb I know she saw him after the attack because he died in hospital a while later, didn't he? But she's imagining him almost
This is fake, yeah.
bloodied on the ground, which she didn't see. She
Yeah.
just saw him presumably a bit cleaned up in the hospital. So
You think they
she's
would have
having
wiped his face?
maybe some false memories there, but
Well,
she's got an imagination. And she's,
is this how it happens?
what?
Is this what happens if you go through something like that? Do people actually ever? Does this happen in real life?
What? See,
you see people like the Sixth Sense.
You know, people will. There'll always be people who say, "Yes, I did." Like there's, I think it was a thread on the Corrie subreddit where somebody said, "Oh yeah, I mean, I dreamt. No, not sorry. I dreamt. I was walking in the house and I turned and I saw clear as day for a few seconds.
But are they saying
so who'd passed away?
All right, but is that a ghost story?
I don't think so. And people are saying that I felt really comforted by seeing them.
I think that's a ghost story. That's different from having a psychotic break.
I don't think it was a psychotic break. It was just kind of some sort of spiritual experience.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that's different.
Yeah, it's not the same. Abby's being it's not haunted. We say haunted, and I've written haunted down in the notes, but she doesn't want to be seeing Seb, does she?
It's not comforting to her.
No,
because it's traumatic, and she's reliving. Yeah,
it's different than people saying, "Oh, I know my mum's watching down on me," or "I'm sure she's just there, across the road keeping an eye on me."
I know that people who have, schizophrenia, you can hear people and it's real. But do you see people? Is this what is this? Is this real? What I'm really asking is this like kind of not an issue story, but is this based in reality of any sort, or is this just artistic license?
Yeah,
what is going on?
I know what you mean, because there's been so much of this kind of thing. It just
Carla saw loads of what was that time? Was it Carla that walked past the alleyway and everyone was
that was when she thought she had a chip in her head.
It's more like metaphorical. That is metaphorical, and I can deal with that. Okay, fine. But what is this? What is going on here?
The way Abby's reacting, she's saying, "I am literally seeing him there." At the end of the episode, she's doing the washing up or something, isn't she? And Seb's there staring at her through the window.
Don't just watch, bloody come and dry up.
And in her head, she knows that he can't possibly be there. I don't know. I'd be interested to know if this is based on people's description of going through something similar, or
it's
is
really interesting.
Yeah, or is it just she's imagining it?
It's one of these things where, because Corrie sometimes tries to take on too many things that are completely supposed to be realistic, you don't know what is supposed to be realistic and what's just, oh yeah, of course, it's just a ghost.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Monday. What are Wednesdays?
On Wednesday,
drama afoot.
It's the ultrasound today, and so everybody's gathered to sort of help him out, and Ronnie's there.
Well, I was in to G him up. I don't think he needs any help dropping his trousers.
Support. Ronnie's like, "Oh, I had one of these a few years ago. It wasn't too bad. They've seen it all before."
It wasn't a story because I never get any stories. It was actually during the time that I was in the show,
No one cared about it, though. I don't know why you're getting all this attention.
Just because you've been in the show since 1980.
Kevin,
whenever.
He's like, Kevin, I don't want to scare you, but the fact this is a story makes me think you've definitely got it. Right, so he's like, right, I'm going. I'll see you later. And Abby's still looking sad, and she's snapping at Debbie. And Debbie's trying to tell her to, be positive for Kevin. And why don't you get him a cake? And Abby's like, would you get him a cake? What, a cancer? What do you mean cancer cake? He doesn't want a cake.
Yeah, that's not exactly going to help if it turns out that this is what he's got.
But what can I just say? It's not going to not help.
Well, you can't go wrong with a nice cream horn, can you?
What's the worst thing that could happen?
For me, if it was like a cake with raisins in, or maybe a carrot cake, I'd be a little bit. If I'd just been to a horrible scan or something at the hospital, and I came home and you was like, I got you something from the bakery, Michael, and you presented me with a lovely Rutland's box, and inside was like an Eccles cake or something. That would make it worse. Gotta say.
I apparently 2025 is the year of the rum barber, which is actually one of my favourite cakes.
Yeah, there we go. If anyone wants to buy Gemma a cake,
I love rum barber. They're absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
And very rare.
Or if you like, it's not a cake, but like some Scotch eggs. I don't think you want that when you've been back from having your
I think a Scotch egg's okay, but snack eggs are too reminiscent. I bought you a brownie.
I know. Yeah, thank you. I've seen that in the kitchen. I shall enjoy that later.
Right, so Abby's in the precinct and she sits in her car and then she hears a police siren and she goes a bit
She goes a bit
funny.
too loudly, doesn't she?
She gets out, she sees Mason bleeding on the floor.
Yeah, she's the siren is just getting louder and louder and it's like flashing blue on her face and she's having another moment.
Mason's there, she looks away, it's Seb.
Yeah, surprise reappearance from Mason. I mean, probably we should have seen it coming, and it does make me wonder, are we going to see him again on the show? But I guess that was kind of nice.
Wonder when he filmed that.
Well, yeah, I wonder. I mean, it would make sense if it was filmed at the same time as when he was in it before. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, Luca has said in interviews that the last scene that he filmed was one the week that he died, and it was in Tim's house, Tim and Sally's house. So unless he's lying,
they're allowed to
this was
fib,
done at
aren't
a
they?
different time.
It's like policemen, they're allowed to lie to you. Okay, so she starts tending to Seb and he says, oh, I'm going to die. And she's like, I know, I should have protected you. She's crying. Then she runs away and then we don't see what happens, but we do see Kevin coming out of his appointment and Debbie's there to pick him up and Abby's not there.
Yeah, Debbie couldn't. Because her mind was racing and she needed to be with her brother.
Yeah, Debbie.
Yeah.
So Debbie's like, I can't believe that Abby's let you down again. She knew how important it was, and he's trying to calm her down and stop slagging Abby off. And he tells her that it's going to be a couple of weeks. The guy had a complete poker face, which they do at some of these, don't they?
Yeah.
You're like, what? Can you tell me? And they're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're like, you don't need to make another appointment because you'll be dead.
I'm loving the Kevin and Debbie stuff at the moment. The brother and sister bond, they're really playing up at the moment. And there was in this scene, they're like walking arm in arm, and Debbie's just like, right, come here, you. And it was fab. I loved seeing those two together, and I don't think they generally have lots together, do they? It's not like Maria and Kirk where they only have one scene per year. But yeah, I totally buy them as brother and sister. I think they're doing both a great job, Mike and Sue. So
Kevin goes home by himself. Abby's already there. She's having a moment. She jumps up. She says, I'm so sorry I forgot about your appointment. And he says, look, it's all done now. We just have to not think about it and wait for the results to come. I'll go get Alfie from the childminder. And she's like, oh, oops.
That was great. I hadn't even thought.
We didn't know that he was in the car.
No, we're conditioned not to ask too many questions about where the child is in Coronation Street, because if we ask too much, then they start explaining it and gets fed up of saying, I don't care, just don't tell me. If you don't mention it, I assume they're fine. But yeah, I just kind of, yeah, why wouldn't you assume that he was just there with her? But of course, we saw Abby running away the opposite direction from where her car was parked after she had that little moment with Mason and Seb on the floor. So yeah, she just left Alfie
him in the back of the car.
Back in the car, yeah.
So we cut to where he is, and it's Toya and Nick. They're walking in the precinct. They hear Alfie crying, and I love Toya because she goes over to the car and she's like, Nick, come and look at this. You will not, like, she's scandalised. She can't believe it's Alfie left in the car with the door open.
It would be
completely
them,
abandoned.
though, wouldn't it? What I want to know is, where were all the good Samaritans of Weatherfield? Because it was definitely daytime when Abby left Alfie in the car, and it was night. There was a lot of night on Wednesday's episode. I always love a good evening scene, and it like they didn't have filters or anything. It was actually proper nighttime filming. Yeah, so Alfie must have been in the car for a good few hours.
But it's because he's crying that they go over. But if I saw a car with the door open, I would ignore it.
It was the door was open. You would ignore it, do you reckon?
I'd assume that somebody just gone to get something.
But the precinct is a hotbed of crime. That is a prime opportunity. I'm surprised that Logan didn't jump out of a bin and drive off in it.
I would assume if I saw a car with the door open in the precinct, I would assume somebody's bought something big out of the charity shop or the cash converters thing.
Well.
And they just left the door open to come and load it.
Very trusting woman.
Well, what do you expect I'm going to do? What would you do?
don't know, actually.
You'd ignore it, wouldn't you?
Might
It's
go
not
and
your
have a little-
business. Unless you're going to steal it, why do you care the door's open of a car?
I'm just saying that I think that the people who generally frequent the
there's
precinct
there's a
are
child
more
in the
like...
back. I bet you someone tried to nick it and went, oh no.
I didn't realise it came with baggage. No,
Forget
thanks.
this. Right, so Kevin and Abby rush to the car, and Debbie's turned up at this point because Toya's given her a ring, and she's just having a go at Abby, saying, what are you thinking? And Abby runs off. And Debbie tells Kevin that Abby needs professional help. And he's like, oh, what, from your years of experience parenting? And I think that Toya and Debbie give each other a look like, oh,
how dare he?
We don't have kids, but you don't leave them in a car for hours, the door open. So back at home, everyone's very stressed out. And Kevin's like, how could you have done this? What's happened? And Abby's like, of course, I didn't mean to do it. Don't leave me. I can't believe...
Yes, Abby starts to worry that Kev's going to abandon her.
But you have to have this conversation. You can't just be like, oh, totally...
Don't do it again,
I'm sure you had a good reason for why you did it. You've got to know what happened. She's got no excuse. She doesn't know what's happened.
It does make me wonder, like, how long Abby would have gone before she realised herself. Because I think when Kevin came home, I don't think Abby was... totally zoned out or hallucinate in a hallucinatory state or anything. She seemed fairly chilled. So when was she going to notice for herself?
Yeah,
and would she have owned up about it? Probably not, because she's trying to keep hidden the extent of her psychosis at the moment.
We're using that word, but I'm not sure if it's correct. But it's as good as a word that I know. Yeah. So sorry if it's not the right word. So, over in the Rovers, Debbie's having a right bitch fest about Abby to Ronnie, saying, oh, can't believe Kev's letting you do this. And Ronnie's like, look, of course Kev's going to defend Abby if you're having a go at her. Just go easy on her. It's obviously really difficult for her.
Well, yeah,
everyone's waiting for her to go back on the source.
Yeah.
Wise
words from Ronnie.
And Debbie's like, okay.
Yeah.
I would be like, no, let me slag her off. Tell me what to do. Right, so a social worker turns up at the house to see Abby.
Yeah, this was a little mini mystery, wasn't it, about where the social worker had come from.
I thought Kevin had called her because of his face, but it obviously wasn't him.
I think we were supposed to think it was Kevin for a little bit.
So they sit down and somebody's reported her and it wasn't Kevin, but it's a secret who it was. And so the woman's like, I just need to work out what's happening and is Alfie okay? And she says, how's your sobriety going? And Abby's like, I'm completely fine. And Kevin says, look, we've got nothing to hide. It's just a mix-up and confusing. And the social worker says, right, I need you to go and get checked out with your GP. I'm happy that today was just a one-off, but I do need you to, make sure that you're okay. And I'm not going to take any more further action unless there's something else going on that you need to tell me about. And she's like, no.
Not seeing any visions or anything.
And Seb should have been behind the social worker and go like, shh.
yeah. Don't tell her you can see me.
So Abby thanks Kevin for covering for her. And he says, look, I trust you because I think you're going to be fine. And she says, sorry again about abandoning the child. And Kevin's like, it's not mine, I don't care. Me and Leanne, we don't care about children we're not blood related to. So he says that everything's okay. We just need to deal with the fact that Debbie's reported Abby. So it was, Abby's got herself annoyed now at Debbie, thinking that Debbie's gone behind her back and reported her to social services. But it wasn't.
No.
We find out the next scene, it was Toya. And she's like, I think I've done the right thing. Telling Nick. Nick's like, I don't know, I think it was a bit of a bitchy move because, Abby's not negligent.
She's got form for negligence.
But then we cut again to Abby and Kevin and Abby's vowing revenge on Debbie.
Yeah, which I'm sure is going to be quite fun. Debbie will obviously deny it because she didn't do it.
Well, you would deny it anyway.
It's whether...
But I think Toya's
going to come along and say, yeah, it was me.
Do you think she did the right thing?
I think Nick's right that it did seem like a bit of a low blow, but I don't think she did it. From a safeguarding point of view, yeah.
The fact that she didn't realise, and she's lying to everybody, Abby, even to herself, about how much in dire straits she is. And social workers aren't there to punish you for being like a bad parent. They're trying to support you.
Yeah. Toya has clearly got a vested interest in this child, hasn't she? Considering who the dad
dead
is.
Child. I mean, dead Imran's live child.
Yes. And you always get those confused. And Toya would never forgive herself if anything had happened to Alfie. I don't think that there was anything spiteful. It wasn't, you've had so many stories on Corrie where somebody has dobbed somebody up to the social services, like, when Gail phoned them in on Todd and Sarah because Bethany electrocuted herself, and she was just like, I'm gonna get them out of that flat. This wasn't that. This was she knows the right thing to do. She has probably got plenty of safeguarding training.
Well, here's the question: Is she still a counsellor? Has she still got that qualification?
I don't think it was stripped from her. Gabas just gave her the boot.
Is she not a mandated reporter? Like, legally, is she not required as somebody? Well, I mean, there's
she
hasn't
taken the Hippocratic Oath.
No, but there are lots of professions in which, if you see something, you must report it legally.
Yeah, say it.
I know you're being flippant, but this is the case, correct?
Oh, yeah.
But say you're one of these people who's a mandated reporter at your work, which you are.
Yes.
Does that translate to other places? If you saw some child in distress, right, and you went, "It's not my problem," is that? I mean, is that under the umbrella of your safeguarding training? Do you have to do something about it?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm just pointing out that Toya's got a professional qualification or she's got training.
Yeah, and she has got a moral compass somewhat.
I think that maybe it's not illegal to not report it, but I don't know that it would make sense to her from her perspective to not say anything.
I don't think she would have done anything illegal by not reporting it, but I think it wouldn't have sat right with her if she had let it go. The problem is, of course, she must know that Abby's going to either suspect her and Debbie. It's not like it's a mystery. There's nobody else that it could be other than her. So I think maybe Toya's just going to have to own it on Monday. There's no point trying to hide it.
But when women are struggling, when mothers, and it's not postpartum obviously, but she's struggling with her child, you can't just let them struggle. Maybe Toya could have done something different, but Kevin's in no position, and I don't think he would have taken it very seriously.
If what?
If Toya had come up to him and said, "Well, he already saw it," and he's well, I don't know. It's just really awkward because the horror stories about what women and I think I'm not trying to blame women for it. I'm just saying that there are women who have hurt their children without meaning to, or have had some kind of horrible mental break, and their children are harmed because their mind is somewhere completely different, and they never would have done it normally, but because of the circumstances, they hurt their child. And Toya probably knows about this because of her training. And can you imagine if that, this is a soap. Imagine if Abby had hurt Alfie by accident because she thought that, I don't know what she would think. And then Toya didn't say anything. Knowing what Toya knows about mental illness, would you really be able to sleep at night thinking, gosh, what would happen? No,
but I think just because it's Toya and she has got a bit of a reputation of a being do-gooder. New. Yeah, I think that...
I'm just glad I don't know enough people to worry about any of this, because I would be in bits if I saw somebody like this. I don't know, what can you do about it? All you can do is tell social workers and let them make their professional...
Yeah, I mean, Abby's still keeping it to herself, the extent of her hallucinations. And also, I wonder whether Nina's going to twig, perhaps.
Toya doesn't know, and Debbie doesn't know, that Abby's not taking stuff.
No.
And I think Abby's doing a really bloody good job of not being, going, even buying beer for people. I think that, I think maybe Kevin should buy his own beer in future just to protect Abby from her... from temptation, because goodness knows how she's managing to resist it with everything that's going on.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, maybe I started off this story saying I was a bit down on it, but actually there were a fair bit that I enjoyed. I'm just loving that Debbie is getting a time in the spotlight. She's kind of feeling this week like a
Bit
real
more
character.
integral, yeah.
She's always seems just like a side character that comes in and says something funny and that's it. But this week she's feeling like she belongs.
In, yeah.
It's because it's a Webster story.
Yeah.
And the Websters don't have many stories at the moment, and yeah, she fits naturally in there, so that's all good. Shall we move on to the next story, the Platt stuff? This was fun.
What is this?
The Platts.
Hey Platt. Hey
Platt. No, I know it doesn't make sense. I know.
Okay, sorry. How about Plattac?
Bit of drama.
How about Plattac?
Plattac, yeah, why not? That's probably better, isn't it? Bit of drama for Shona on Monday because she ends up in the van, doesn't she? This is one of those episodes where the action happens fairly early on in the episode. In fact, I think the first 3 scenes on Monday was Shona walking to the work. Oh, was she going to the work? I don't know where she was off to.
To work, not the work.
Yes. And we see her being followed by a van. And then inside, David is looking a bit worried about where she's going, and is she going off on her own? That's with everything that's going on.
He's living
with our
up.
family being targeted.
At the moment, David is living up to the actor's surname, isn't he? He's trying to be a bit of a shepherd. He's trying to keep his flock together.
Yeah.
But they're just wayward sheep wandering everywhere.
She's like, I'm okay, I'm just going to work.
Harried by wolves.
Well, it seems like he's right to be concerned, because the next thing that we see is the van being speeding off down the road. The camera pans down onto the floor and Shona's phone is there, presumably Shona's phone, cracked up on the cobbles. She's only been Platt-napped. Second scene of the episode, nice drama for the beginning. So Shona is in the van. We see a few scenes of her in there. She's getting frantic. She's kicking at the side. She ain't just gonna sit and wait to see what happens to her.
She doesn't have anything to do. She can't listen to the football results.
No, she's got
like
nothing. She's bored.
She hasn't even got a phone.
No. Shona isn't one for just sitting down.
Just text David out. Hey, what are you doing?
She can't text him. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, David, as the episode progresses, starts to get a bit more worried for how she's getting on. I was waiting for her to maybe spend at least until the end of the episode kidnapped. It was a bit of a little mini adventure for her, wasn't it?
People barely noticed that she was gone apart from David.
No, exactly. He starts to get a little bit worried about it, goes to the station, and has to report to Kit that Shona's missing.
Now, he doesn't want... Right, obviously, he and Kit have got history because Kit was a psycho and smashed up his car and said David did it.
Well, and also bedded his wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, Kit then said that he was going to unleash the hounds, didn't he? He said that he was going to not protect David from Harvey.
Well, he did. He told the Radcliffes free pickings.
I wonder if Kit feels guilty about this.
No, he ain't got a conscience.
He's just making his own
David has to admit at this point that it might be Harvey that's done this, and Kit's like, well, what have you done to incur Harvey's wrath? But he kind of relents. And I don't know I can't remember whether we see him confess, but he has to admit what's going on between him and
he tells him about
Mr. Gaskell.
The dog getting run over too.
Yeah, exactly. He goes home, he tells Max and Sarah that he thinks Shona's been kidnapped by Harvey, and Sarah's like, oh, again, why would he do that? What's Harvey got to do anything? Are you keeping something from me, David? And David's like, fine, look, I'm the one that stole David's money, all right? Sorry, Damon's money, all right? So the truth is all out. And he's trying to defend himself, saying he did it for the family, but obviously Sarah is livid at this news. And he's like, you lied to my face, so you had me accusing Jessie all along. Somebody broke into my flat. And Max is like, calm down. This isn't helping Shona at the moment. And
this is all so... I'm finding this so hard to keep all
I
this
just
in
love...
my head.
I love when Sarah's mad at David when he's been an idiot. I think she's great. She's fantastic.
So David stole the money because he found out from Adam that Damon had money in the lockup, and he wanted to use it to get Bethany treatment, right? So he nicked it, but then she didn't need the money, so he used it to buy the house. But Jessie found out about it, and then they both hid it together, and then they laundered the money by pretending that they were using it to do up the chalet.
Simple as that, yeah.
And so, but Harvey and Damon still want the money back.
Yeah, of course.
And now they're adding more money on top and saying you owe us more money.
Yeah,
and
there's
now,
like 10 grand interest.
And now David, the dog, also has got his vet bills, so everything's looking quite drastic.
Yes.
And Matty and Logan were like henchmen of Harvey's and Damon's, and so they started menacing David.
Yeah.
And that's as far as we've got. But
that's
they
where
would
we're
spend most of their time menacing Mason rather than doing their job. But they did drive around and like look out of a van at David a few times.
Yes.
What else did they do? Anything else?
No, not really.
I'm just trying to get it all straight in my
Mason.
head because it's all just really complicated, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we assume it was possibly Logan that kidnapped Shona. We don't know because we never find out.
It depends on whether Logan's got any more goons, because obviously Matty's in prison now.
The thing is, Logan should be lying
for the dog.
Yeah, but Logan should be lying low at the moment, shouldn't he?
Because he's a suspect.
Well, he's the one that stabbed Mason. At the moment, Matty's in prison, kind of taking the rap for this murder that, yes, he was involved in, but he wasn't the one brandishing the knife, was he? So I don't know.
He's a wanted man.
Yeah, Logan is 100% a wanted man, but it depends whether, I wouldn't want to have Harvey on my back. If Harvey's like, I don't care that you're wanted, you're just going to have to be careful about it, aren't you? So maybe Logan is, a little bit... he's seemingly got no choice about whether he obeys his orders or not. But anyway, it's all academic, really, because Shona turns up halfway through the episode and she's like, there we go, I'm back. I was really, really surprised when she came in through the door.
It was a bit anticlimactic.
It clearly was just a scaring tactic. And it's obviously worked. And she's fine. She's okay. She says, look, these people that took me, they were working for Harvey. She said, I heard them talking, they were wearing masks. Sarah comes home at this point. She's obviously very relieved to see Shona and says, look, we need to get this money soon. We need these men out of our lives. And David says, well, I've already talked to the police, actually. And so Shona's like, what, you've grassed up Harvey. You have just made this 1,000,000 times worse, you absolute idiot.
So they don't have the money because they've put it in the house.
Yeah.
And they still,
there's no money to give back.
Now they owe money because of the dog and the interest.
Yeah. So Kit comes round later to see how things are, and he's spoken to Harvey, he's claiming complete ignorance of anything related to this money. Obviously, he would, because this is dodgy money, isn't it? This is money that was got in a robbery or something.
Yeah, this was the robbery. Yeah.
So that then means, Kit points out,
that was Damon's share of the robbery that he did on that warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kit's like, well, I mean, there's no crime reported because Harvey's not admitting that you've stolen his money because he doesn't want us to know that he's got a load of money. So I guess you're off the hook. Shona says, well, look, I'm not giving a statement about this. I'm not getting on there in their bad book. So just let's forget about it all. It was nothing.
Say it was nothing.
It was my mistaken identity. Yeah, it's over. I don't want to go any further down this road. Thank you very much. So it's David and Shona in the lounge later. She's still refusing to put the family in any more danger by grassing up Harvey. I think it's hard. It's like a sensible thing to do. As an outsider, I would always say, no, go to the police. They'll be fine. They'll look after you. But if you're talking gangs here,
it's a different world.
It's a difficult decision, and Shona grew up on the Paul Robeson, didn't she?
Paul Robeson estate.
So she knows what these gang leaders are like and what they're up to. I mean, David should know, having this isn't the first time that he's dallied with gangsters. But
you're not going to bring down a criminal empire because you dobbed him into the cops.
No, exactly. You are going to be constantly on the run. It's sad to say, you just need to do what they say and hope that the police catch them. Yeah, no, they can't.
I tell you what, Carla should try this tactic on Daisy and Jenny to get her money out of them.
Yeah.
Maybe she can employ
Maybe she
them.
could. Yeah, if
Goons.
Yeah.
Goons for hire.
Goons for hire, exactly. Fire a shot through the Rover's window.
Why not?
This is what happens next to the Platts, isn't it? There's some pellets that are fired through the window, smashes a photo of David and Shona together. One gets jammed into the wall that Max finds, and Shona's like, I told you shouldn't have gone to police. Look what's happened now. Our lives are literally in danger. Whole family have pitched up at Sarah's later. They can't live at number 8 anymore.
Even though you pointed out that they know where Sarah lives because they raided her place.
Yes, I would probably go somewhere else if I was
Grasmere Drive.
them.
Where's Audrey?
I wonder whether that would have ever, been up for contention, because yes, they probably don't know where Grasmere Drive is, but can you imagine bringing the potential risk there? if
Audrey would be in bits.
Audrey would be in.
She's lonely, isn't she? And bored. Maybe she'd like it.
I just imagine them shooting through Audrey's window and like right into the centre of Alf's forehead on the portrait on the wall.
Well, I'm just thinking. I don't know where this is going, but if you wanted to have some kind of big stunt, right? It would be really cool if you bamboozled everybody by just holding it in some random suburban street in Salford or Manchester, and nobody would ever know that was a Corrie set.
Apart from there'd be actors.
Well, no, but there's lots of they're filming some kind of Anne Rice thing in Spinningfields at the moment in Manchester.
Oh yeah.
There's always some kind of weird filming going on in Manchester for like movies and stuff. You wouldn't necessarily think it was for Corrie.
Right.
I just think it would cost a fortune.
Probably. Anyway, look, everyone's decided to go around Red Bank for whatever reason. David says, I can't stay here because I don't want you to all have a target on your back. I think they've already got targets on their back. I don't think
they care.
It's not David necessarily they're going after. Yes, they want him to suffer, but what better way to make him suffer than going after the people that he loves? I think that really they should stay together, but he's like, no, I'm gonna go and shack up with Nick and Toya for a little bit, and I don't know, make the goons go around there with Doggy Dave, who's seemingly a bit more sprightly now than he was last week. But he's just saying to Nick, this is utter mess. If I don't get this money sorted pronto, the whole family is going to be in mega danger. So Wednesday's episode rolls round and Max is at Sarah's boxing up some of his film gear to sell. Bless him. He thinks that giving away... I don't even know what it was that he had. Yeah, a few bits and pieces. It's really a drop in the ocean compared to what they owe this guy.
Well, they say Shona says, "Oh, don't bother selling it because it won't make a dent." But I'm thinking, make some propaganda movie to convince Harvey and Damon to leave us alone.
yeah, good.
He should be using his
powers for.
He should be at least making short movies. I mean, look at Jack Carroll got a BAFTA.
Yeah, exactly.
What's Max got? He's got a conviction for white supremacy.
Use your powers for good, Max. They all meet up in Speed Dial later, David, Shona, Max, and he's been to see Carla to see if she'd be interested in buying the house again. David has, and she's like, no, moved on from there, yeah. And he says, look, it's fine. We're just going to sell it to someone else. We'll get the money. It's going to be okay, and maybe Harvey will leave us alone. And Shona says, well, how long does it take? Is that going to take? Do you think?
A long time.
Yeah, having moved ourselves 3 years ago, a very, very long time. And I don't think Harvey's that patient. And David's like, well,
he doesn't understand conveyances.
No. What choice have we got, though, other than burn down the house and claim on the insurance? Literally out of ideas. That would be a very stupid thing to do. Then we got one more scene for that story. Late night at the Platts, number 8. David has let that guy who he met at the police station a couple of weeks ago, or last week, was it?
His old
cellmate friend.
So he invites him to...
Yeah. He's got a plan.
The Gail David Platt house.
Yeah, he's got a plan.
In the dark. He won't turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Because it's a secret.
Yeah. We'll have to wait until Monday to find out what that is, I guess. Who could say?
Maybe he's like, come out, look, I've got an idea. Why don't we both, like, get jobs at Uber or, like, delivery or something? We'll make money that way, like working as a job.
And do you think that this guy's going to give David his wages just to help him out?
I remember in prison you were always such a laugh.
The thing that I really love about this story at the moment is it's throwing the Platts together in peril, and it really is giving me like Callum vibes.
It is. They're always in trouble with the gangster.
Having Team Platt kind of locked down together. It's just brilliant.
Platt's in peril.
It is.
That could have been the storyline title.
Yeah, Sarah having a go at David. David concerned for his family's life. Obviously, there's no Gail there anymore. But
I'll tell you what,
they're just brilliant when there's a drama, a life or death drama like this.
It's a bloody good job that Gail is safely ensconced in the south of France, because I could see her catching a stray bullet. You know what I mean? Like a bullet comes through and she immediately stands up and goes, "What was that?" And then she gets one right between the eyes.
Oh yeah.
David has not got run over. What would happen to Gail?
That's what, if they want to lay low, that's where they need to go. They all need to bob off to the south of France for a couple of weeks until it blows over.
That's actually a perfect thing. How long can you go to the EU and stay there without
Well, if you look at what
6
Stu's
months?
doing in Gale, and it's as long as you want. But Corrie doesn't work with the real
We don't
in
live
reality,
in that- no, we don't live in that world.
post-Brexit Britain. Right, Cassie and Ken, a little bit for them this week.
It'd be funny to imagine that Coronation Street exists in a parallel universe where there was no pandemic or Brexit. Like, how do the fortunes of the Britons fare without those two disastrous escapades? Anyway, Monday. So Cassie's busy drugging Ken as he's chatting to Tracy, and he's talking about inviting Adam and Alia around for dinner because I guess he wants to be bored to death. So they come round later, and he stands up, Ken, and he has a bit of a wobble. So
there's the medicine is doing its trick.
He doesn't know where his glasses are, even though they're on his head. And Tracy,
we're kind of getting the impression that
he's suffering in some way. So Tracy's annoyed because Cassie's fussing over him, and they're kind of not taking it seriously.
Well, they're all having a bit of a laugh about, oh, Ken, you silly idiot, it's all on your head. And Cassie's laughing at it, and Tracy's like, you don't laugh at my dad.
So Ken gets his post, and he's got this credit card bill, and he's like, I don't remember buying this stuff at all. And Cassie's like, oh, you've probably just forgotten again, Ken, you silly. And Tracy takes it, and she's looking at it. And then later she tells Adam that she's convinced that Cassie's a thief, and she's the one who's bought this, and it's designer hair straighteners, and she reckons that she's using his card. So when Ken and Cassie come down from Cassie taking Ken to the loo, Tracy confronts them, and Ken's looking confused, and Cassie's like, well, no, Ken, do you remember it's Tracy's birthday, and you bought them for her?
This was good.
Do you remember?
You called out. You predicted what was going to happen mid-episode, didn't you? You said, "Oh, I bet
think
this is
that
for Tracy."
Cassie's bought this behind Ken's back to set up a sort of a breadcrumb trail to make it look like Ken's forgetting him buying stuff.
Yeah.
But
Otherwise, it'd be a very handy coincidence.
I'm sure that she bought this, and Ken's got no idea.
Yeah, I can't remember from the episode how much Cassie kind of wangled Tracy having a look at the credit card bill, or whether it was just coincidence. I'm not sure.
No, I don't remember. But anyway, I mean, when the parcel arrived, it would have been a mystery because Ken would have remembered what's this? That would have been good enough.
Yeah. So are we definitely saying that it was Cassie all along, and
so.
Ken's not just forgotten because
No,
of
I
his...
think she's done this on purpose.
If I was Ken, I'd be starting to be a bit worried at the moment because, Ken's mind is, his most...
Prized possession.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only thing that sets him apart from the hoi polloi.
And if he's losing that, then things are looking bad.
Yeah.
So...
in trouble at the Barlows.
Yeah, but it's doing the job for Cassie, isn't it? Because he's like, well, I need you to stay here even more now.
Well, they're all looking at this bill, and Cassie's saying, oh, do you not remember you bought it? And Tracy's like, no, obviously you bought this for yourself. Caught you out here. And Cassie says, well, I'm not going to stand around here being accused of such things. I'm leaving. So she storms off, and Adam tells Ken that they should call the police, and Ken says, no, I don't think we should. But then a parcel arrives.
Right on cue.
And it's the hair straighteners, and they open the package, and in there is a note that says, to Tracy, happy birthday, love, Dad. And oh dear, there's egg on everyone's face.
Ken's just like, what is going on here?
Ken telling them off, like, look, Cassie's my friend. She looks after me. I can't believe you didn't believe her. So Cassie turns back up again, because obviously she's been summoned, and Tracy is made to apologise. And Cassie's like, I forgive you.
That was brilliant. I love it. And Tracy's like, great, that is such a weight off my mind that you've forgiven me. She's fuming the fact that she has to apologise.
And Adam has to apologise as well. And Cassie's like, I'm used to everyone thinking the worst of me. So, when Adam and Ken are alone, he says to him, Dad, I don't trust Cassie. And Ken says, well, tough. I think she's great. And then Adam says, are you sure you don't have a crush on her? And Ken immediately shoots this down. I don't like you saying that. Can you leave? So,
I don't want it to go down that route still.
No, I think it's very... I think they're addressing it to dismiss it, but sometimes they bring these things up.
A few people have said it now. Like a few weeks ago, Yasmin was saying similar in the pub, wasn't she? So It's
just
reared
it's
its
just
head
icky.
a bit too much. But I guess that...
Yeah, you're right. It does feel like it's going to go that way because they keep protesting. Anyway, so Ken's alone with Cassie later. He says, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad you're here. I just really struggle without you. Maybe you should move in. And she's like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, I would love that. And then they laugh together about how the Barlows are going to lose their minds about it. And then when Ken goes upstairs for a nap, Cassie grabs his laptop and starts looking up fancy clothes on the internet.
She just can't help herself, can she?
No. So on Wednesday, Ken tells Steve and Amy that Cassie's moving in and they're not very happy about it. And then at Fizz and Tyrone's house, Cassie's packing her bag and Fizz is like, you don't have to move. You're fine where you are. You don't have to. And she's like, no, love my job. I can't wait to move in. I like hanging out with Ken and it's more money for me. Back at number 1, Steve is whinging about Cassie to Amy, and she calls him a bit of a sexist dinosaur, and then she tells him she's going off to this party. And then at the Fizz and Tyrone's house, Evelyn turns up, and I didn't think we'd see her again so soon.
Literally, how long's it been? 2 weeks since she had her big goodbye? I was thinking it was going to be a lot longer.
Well,
but
I do think there will
hope.
be lots of big gaps, but maybe this is not one of them.
Yeah.
So she pictures up. Obviously, she's fed up with Freshers Week, and she tells Cassie I'm not really happy that you're leaving the family home because they need you here. And what are you getting out of this? And Cassie's like, look, no, it's just a job, and I'm getting paid very well for it, and that's all there is.
Yeah.
So Evelyn's suspicious. And Cassie's shacking up with Ken. And here's the question about Leanne and Steve having that one night together. We know that Leanne's saying she's lonely and she's got this flat. And we also know that Steve's looking for somewhere to live.
Oh, yeah.
Are they going to end up being like roommates in inverted commas?
Oh, I wonder.
And then, with benefits, do you get a discount on your rent? And who does that go to? Steve or Leanne?
I think I'm ready for this story to either
needs to go
finish
somewhere else
or take a dramatic turn, because there's it's felt like months. Well, it has been months that this has been going on. But Tracy's been close to catching her out for a long time as well. Cassie's always there to steer things back to make everybody else look like an idiot for suggesting that there's such a thing that anything could possibly be nefarious about how she's acting towards Ken. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like the story is progressing very much. I'm still loving it. I love Cassie and Ken together. However underhand she's being and devious and cruel to this vulnerable old man, their relationship on screen is lovely when they're just having a fun time together. I love that it's putting Tracy's nose well out of joint. There's loads to enjoy about it, but there's only so much that I can take the storyline before I'm like, come on, we've seen it all now. Just get on with it.
Okay, but here's the counterpoint to that. And we really gave Corrie a rollicking last week about the kidney care UK people saying that the timelines were wrong for Carla's story for kidney dialysis. And we said that, if they're going to do something, they need to do it properly and give it the time that it needs. And a story like this does need a lot of time. But then you, as somebody who knows this and is a fan of Corrie, will still gets annoyed about a story taking too long to come to fruition. So what is Corrie supposed to do? And we've got a lot of tolerance and patience for Corrie to do drawn out stories, and we're normally quite patient with them. So the average person, I don't think, is quite as patient.
At least
and so they are justified for speeding up stories like Carla's stuff. But then, everything we said last week kind of stands about it being a bit harmful to portray medical storylines with inaccurate information. So what are they supposed to do? This is what I mean. I do not envy them having to make these decisions and having to juggle these problems. It's a very difficult job.
Yeah.
But
at least I'm enjoying
this
and the characters are all ones that I enjoy. So it could be worse if this was a story that I just wasn't into. If this was like the George and Glenda story and it was taken as long as this, I'd be like, come on, just put it out of its misery. Honestly, send one of Harvey's goons round it and just pop a bullet through the window.
Oh no!
But no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just moaning, and Tracy's fab in it. I loved where the bit when I can't remember, was it on Wednesday? She was sitting around on her phone watching the keyboard cat video.
Yes.
What was that all about? So that was a nice.
Do you think that? Surely the copyright's not up on that 70 years after that cat died.
I don't know, but I do love it. And Tracy's love of cats, despite not actually owning one.
Yes, do you remember she used to always have cat shirts?
Yeah.
I've got a few of the cat shirts she used to wear. Not her actual
she's a bit of a
ones.
cat herself, isn't it?
We'll get into buying Coronation Street.
We will talk about more about that later.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just finish this off with the Chesney story, because it wasn't a whole lot. Chesney and Gemma are still very excited on Monday that the bills are paid off. He's booked them a holiday to Spain. Nothing could go wrong. Of less compensation. And Bernie.
Less pensation.
Yes, and basically in Monday's episode was the revelation at last that Dev and Bernie are engaged. It was lovely. It was basically just wasn't it, a scene in the pub where Dev makes a lovely speech about how important everyone is in the family, and he sees them as family of their own. Who was it that was it Chesney says, Dev, can I call you Dad? Or was it? No, it was Ardy that says, can I call you Mum? Or to Bernie, wasn't it? It was lovely. I think Ardy's just desperately clinging on to, give me a story, please. If I call you Mum, can I be in the show more? But
I thought he was joking, but he wasn't.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, it was lovely. Bernie announces the engagement, and Gemma says, the quads are going to be made up with this. So would Paul be. I'm sure he's looking down and smiling on us. I mean, the way Corey's going at the moment is... The way he's going at the moment, he probably should have just turned up and given him a nod of approval from across the bar. Maybe
Coronation Street should just take a leaf out of the Teletubbies book, and instead of having a son with a chubby baby, just whoever the current character is haunting somebody just appears in the sky, like some kind of ominous moon, like in the Zelda game. Yeah.
Did you know that the Teletubby baby? She's like, there's been a few articles over the years and said, I'm all grown up now. I'm in my 20s. God, time, eh? That was like 30 years ago, Teletubbies.
Well, we didn't watch Teletubbies. I remember my foster brother watching Teletubbies, and I could not believe it when they went through this whole junky stupid thing, and then they did again and again. I thought it was a joke, and they did the whole thing. They literally played the same thing again.
Yeah.
I thought it was just
Kids
a catchphrase.
thrive on repetition.
I was disgusted. I had to leave the room.
So everything's going swimmingly for them, and of course the Winter Brown clan can't stay happy for long. And the drama at the end of the episode was there's a knock on the door from the police. There's been some footage found of Chesney pouring sugar into the grey van's petrol tank, and can he come down to the station tomorrow for a chat about it?
Should have done it at the precinct.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have CCTV.
Yeah, exactly.
What a wazzock.
Yeah.
What a daft apeth.
He has to pay £5,000 in compensation, doesn't he? Basically, he goes along to the police station, and £5,000 is now
gone
up the Swanee.
Smoke.
Yeah, no fancy holiday for them.
That was fair. That was pretty much all they had left to go on holiday. Because I honestly do think if you took 2 adults and 5 kids to Spain, it would cost. You think you can get away with it being cheap when you go to Europe, but everything costs so much money.
You'd have thought they'd have learned a lesson, really, and it's like, should we have some savings? Should we put some of it in a high interest account?
Do you know what we should do? We should have an emergency fund.
That's what, literally, that family, over every other one in the street, an emergency fund would be a good idea.
No, but they're smart. Spend it quickly because there's going to be an emergency.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they're gonna go caravan holidaying in the end.
Well, they said they were going camping, and I was furious because they weren't going camping. They were going in a caravan.
Yeah.
And I have to say, if they wanted to go camping,
caravan,
they wouldn't be able to afford it, would they?
Why?
Because they'd have to buy all the equipment.
Oh yeah.
For a family of 7, buying a massive tent.
I think it's some fancy caravanning.
How expensive would it be to set up all your equipment to go camping? For a family of that size, you'd need 2 tents, wouldn't you? You'd need all your stove, you need your seats, you need your beds, you need your bedding, you need everything.
No, this is all. They've been camping. They've been caravanning before.
It's
Do you
not
remember
camping.
Okay, fine.
I don't understand why you would call it camping when it's not.
Sorry, don't go
I'm
on to
mad.
me about
I'm mad about it.
Anyway, I'm sure that unlike the last time they went on a caravanning holiday, we're not going to see hide nor hair of this. But I would think that maybe after the drama last time, they'd maybe be thinking twice about that kind of holiday again. But hey,
I'd quite like to go to a caravan holiday.
Maybe everything's going to turn out.
Even those are bloody expensive, though, aren't they?
Yeah. Anyway, that was basically it. That was it for that
expensive.
story, and that was indeed it for Coronation Street this week because we only had the 2 episodes. So it was another good week. I was chuffed. I was sitting watching Corrie thinking, yeah, we're in a good little period at the moment.
I thought this was a decent week.
Yeah.
I reckon I'd be happy to give this 4 sexist dinosaurs.
4 sexist dinosaurs. Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 custard slices to make up for Kevin having cancer out of 5. The character of the week.
Leanne?
We've done Leanne quite a bit recently,
know,
but she
it's
is
her
on
moment.
fire at the
It's her time
moment.
to
This is
shine.
Leanne's moment at the moment.
Abby,
but there's lots of other, Shona
Seb,
was cool this week. Not
Mason.
Seb, no. I'm not giving it to Abby. She needs to pull her socks
Debbie?
up. Debbie's great
Toya?
as a supportive sister.
David, Shona. Shona got kidnapped. Does that give
Yeah,
you
it
a
doesn't
point?
give you... No.
Ken or Cassie? I think all the stories were actually... I enjoyed all the stories this week,
Yeah.
which is unusual because
There was-
even in a good week, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't care about this.
Yeah,
But I liked all these characters.
So did I. I think
Mine's Leanne.
I might give it to Steve. I might, just to, give him credit where credit's due
Yeah, I
for
think that's
having
fair.
some lovely scenes with Leanne. Even the scene with Amy was quite nice before she went off to her party. So yeah, for reining it in, Steve, you have got a rare character of the week from me. Congrats.
Wow, don't spend it all at once.
Well, there we go. That is this week's Coronation Street.